Hello and welcome to Make, Grow, Flourish. My name is Toyin Laketu from Onwards and Up, and I'm here today to bring you 10 top tips on business growth strategies, looking at UK, looking at the domestic market and international market, plus your online, and how to kind of maximize all the different areas to help you to kind of grow your business in whatever channels you're looking to grow in. So let's kick off with our first tip, number one. Market research. Market research is really important to your business to understand how to map out and plan your next moves in terms of your business. It's an important starting place for your business success. So what kind of things should we be looking at in terms of looking at market research, whether it's home market or whether it's an international market? Areas for you to kind of explore going forward are to understand the size of the market, what's the population of the market, in terms of demographic, male to female, what's the age of the population if you're looking at your product. Also, wanting to understand the size of the population in terms of the size of the opportunity and growth area. So again, really important to try and identify information on your relevant product categories and your industry sectors to understand what's the forecast growth of that particular market you're looking to kind of go into, to understand how much time, money, and resources you should be investing into kind of growing that as a potential business area within your business. Also looking at conducting some market research to understand how does your product fit in new markets, whether it's looking at your home market or whether you're looking to kind of go into overseas markets. What you have started off with as a product you may kind of deem as suitable for a particular kind of purpose in your own market might be seen in a different types of eyes in an overseas market. Great example of this is the fashion brand Uggs in Australia. Technically was seen as a slipper that the surfers kind of put on their feet when they got out of the water after surfing. But over here in European markets, we tend to kind of wear them as fashion items on our day-to-day kind of wear, so to speak. So really kind of thinking about, how your products can be interpreted in different markets overseas. Also understanding how competitive the market is, who's already there, how big is the market in terms of competition? Is it quite competitive? Is there some big players playing in the market? Are there lots of players playing in the market? Or is it a market that there's no competition and you are the first entry to kind of enter the market? So really understand what's kind of happening in terms of competitive of that market. Also understand if it is competitive, what kind of routes and what kind of journeys other businesses have been on to enter the market. There's clearly a trodden footprint into kind of getting into the market. So go and do some research to understand how your competitors have done it in that particular market. Understanding the ease of entry. Okay, so when you're looking at a market, whether it's a different segment of the market for your business in your domestic market or whether it's international, how easy is it for you to kind of get to that market? Whether it's looking at how much money you have to spend, whether or not there's lots of retail stores for you to be able to sell to, whether what kind of trade barriers are in place, whether it's import duties and export duties, how digitalized is it, how easy is it for you to be able to access and do business in those markets. Really important point to kind of understand. Also, how big is your consumer group and how do they like to shop? Really important to kind of understand. Try and find out some information, maybe through, if you're looking to kind of look at expanding to overseas markets, or maybe looking at a different area within your domestic market, maybe reach out to some of your customers, either on your mailing list or maybe those who are following you on the relevant social media channels. Ask them some questions, get some feedback from them, find out how they kind of consume, how they like to kind of shop and where they like to kind of shop. Take down notes of that. Also understand how how potential consumers in overseas markets in particular, how they kind of engage with social media, what platforms do they spend more time on. Every market has a different lean in terms of social media kind of going forward. So it's really important to understand which ones you should be kind of operating on. Also understand the financial requirements, what is required financially for you to kind of take on the next level of investment in a market. With securing new opportunities comes levels of investment, and that will also include monetary wise for your business. So really kind of explore all those areas, identify the pros, the cons, but also kind of creating a SWOT analysis to kind of do wider research on your business, understanding those gaps to then kind of move forward and help you to kind of build a strong strategy for that relevant market. Number two, are you ready for international markets? If you are looking to kind of go internationally, the other things to kind of think about for these particular markets is, one, do you own your business trademark? Really important if you are looking to kind of go international. Most providers or most potential retail stockists, agents and distributors will require you to register your brand trademark. So again, kind of thinking about that from a monetary perspective, but also a time-wise perspective in terms of mapping out as and when you are going to be looking to do your trademark. Okay, so because there are kind of financial implications involved with that. You don't have to trademark the whole world at once, but you can trademark on a market by market basis. If you're in the European Union, you can do the Madrid Protocol, which is one trademark, which covers you for all 26 countries within the European Union for one standard fee. Make sure, as well as part of your trademark, you also kind of ensure that you secure the relevant product classifications in which your business is going to operate in. Think and future-proof your business around trademark. If you look to expand your business into different fields and different areas in the future, make sure you also secure those at the same time. Don't leave it until the time comes, maybe in the future, when you are big and famous, for you to then have to go back, have to backtrack and try and secure your trademark, or having to kind of negotiate getting your trademark back. Other things to kind of think about for international is making sure that you have a good, credible website. Everybody that's looking at your brand or your business and your products will be looking at your website and wanting to know more and kind of gain more information from you through this particular kind of mainstream kind of media platform. So ensure you have a good website that people can kind of navigate, presenting nice stories about your brand, the processes and practices of your business. Making sure you have got up-to-date and consistent and up-to-date social media channels. So again, make sure, don't kind of stretch yourself too thin, but maybe have 1 or 2 social media channels which you operate on, but do a really good job on those channels. This is where lots of buyers, retailers, agents and distributors, plus galleries and showrooms are looking to explore and identify and research new brands. So make sure that if you are going to be posting on your using social media, you're kind of creating a realistic plan of when you're going to be scheduling your content to send out and post out into the relevant platforms on a regular basis. Making sure, do you have an established business model? So what are your models for international markets? How flexible is your business in terms of any opportunities that come in your way? So making sure that you have got, see whether or not you can do wholesale, whether or not you can take on an agent or a distributor, whether you're able to work with pop-up shops, whether you were able to work with influencers, whether you're able to work with e-marketplaces. Have a look, understand and explore your pricing, because pricing is ultimately, which is what the thing that's going to potentially constrain you from being able to have a flexible business model. But really explore that and make sure that you can make some money from whatever models that you kind of take on board. And then finally, when you're going international, do you have a track record of doing business? So again, making sure that maybe you've got some stockists behind you, because if you're kind of going overseas and maybe looking to do some maybe trade shows and so forth, there'll be people asking you where you are stocked and so forth. Customers may be wanting to see on your website a stockist list, just to fulfill and instill some level of credibility, but also trust that you're able to kind of fulfill the whole process from the designing and making through to the selling and delivering process to the end customer, whether that be a retail store or whether that be a customer themselves. Other things to really kind of think about and explore in terms of your business growth strategy is understanding who your customer is. Okay, so conduct within your market research and create a customer profile. Now, you may have, there's no such thing as a customer profile. Technically, most businesses will have multiple customer profiles. You may kind of focus it on a generational kind of customer profile, but also you might kind of base your customer profiles based on the types in how customers interact with your product. So whether that's looking at customers who are looking at your work from a much more artistic perspective and looking to buy high-end valued customized goods, through to those who are maybe looking for small gifting items and looking for something, you know, a bit unique in terms of design, but is affordable to kind of buy. So so it's important to kind of understand who they are, you know, what they look like, to help you to kind of create the relevant kind of messaging to tailor to each of these to particular customers. So things to kind of do when you're kind of looking at this is, you know, varying characteristics to identify is understand the age ranges of these customers for your different segments of maybe your business. You know, what is their income, salary, their lifestyle, you know, do they like going shopping? Do they like to eat in high-end restaurants? Do they like to travel? Do they have, you know, what are their values? You know, is it around, you know, saving the planet and sustainability? You know, do they value artistic design? Why would they purchase your products or your services? What are the problems that you're trying to solve with the use of your products and services? What is it that they need from you that they need to buy your products? Also understanding their shopping behaviors. So how do they shop and where do they shop? Do they shop online? Are they more likely to purchase from you if you were to go and do an exhibition and talk to them face to face? Find out how, you know, how they kind of engage with the whole kind of shopping process for similar types of goods that you do. Good tip for to understanding your customer base is to conduct some primary research and kind of pull together some focus groups to kind of really understand what it is that customers want from your business or from your types of products, and how they kind of engage with them to help you to kind of cement what your customer profile looks like. Key thing when you're kind of thinking about your business growth, as we kind of said before, thinking about your you know, what is your business model, and having being flexible in terms of your pricing. So here we're kind of thinking about creating a flexible pricing strategy. So make sure you research your pricing to reflect your product and your customer base. Okay, so I know that sometimes we kind of go, oh, you know what, I'm just going to price it at this because everybody else in my market is pricing at this. As I say, devaluing your product prices may attract the wrong types of customers. So make sure that you are, one, doing your research, but then also realistically reflecting the prices of your products. Understanding the different pricing structures for retail, e-marketplaces, agents, galleries and showrooms, okay, and work out how you can kind of create a cohesive and comprehensive pricing strategy where no matter who you sell to, your product price will be around about the same kind of price kind of going forward. You know, creating a pricing strategy that allows you to sell through multiple channels and still make money is really important part of this whole process. So really kind of explore how you can kind of do that. One of the ultimate things I would say is make sure you do not devalue your product or your brand. And a tip around this as well is to kind of think about creating really good brand stories and being very strong in terms of your social media output and your website output to emphasize the price and the cost of your goods going forward. Tip number 5, plan your routes to market. Yeah, so feeding in from your market research, your customer profile, and your pricing strategy will be your routes to market. And again, this will kind of determine how many routes to market you have depending on what your pricing strategy is. So here we have a whole range of different ways in which you can sell your products, you know. So a great way of kind of doing it, as we're doing at the moment, is selling direct to customers. Try, if you can, get yourself involved with some temporary pop-ups in your local market. Try and get out and try and speak to people face to face, get some direct feedback from them and so forth, is a really good way of kind of being able to start to kind of build up your business wherever you are. Wholesale is a great model to use if you are working with retailers and so forth. As they kind of say, wholesale, cash is king. Great. you know, so you'll kind of get potentially large orders. So again, making sure that your business is in a good position to be able to deal with that. Large orders with large kind of injections of cash. However, when you do wholesale, the margins will be smaller for those particular kind of orders. But with that, you obviously kind of get the wider exposure of being in a retail outlet and lots of customers being able to see your products in lots of different places, which is great. Trade shows are a great stepping stone to kind of looking at international, but also looking at your domestic market. Again, another way of kind of being able to engage with lots of retailers as a way of kind of showcasing your products, having those conversations either with customers or with buyers, getting that wider feedback in terms of your products and what you need to do to improve those. Agents and distributors, they're great in terms of resource-wise. So people that can have their feet on the ground in a particular territory or a particular overseas market, have connections and links to relevant contacts within your field who can kind of represent you and do the wider kind of selling, pitching and negotiating for you to kind of secure new opportunities for you in those markets. Kind of talked about online web sales, same as direct selling, which is fantastic. Also, we have things like licensing, you know, and again, maybe thinking about how you can kind of collaborate with people, you know, don't need to necessarily make anything, but actually giving them the permission to be able to use your designs in some shape or form. To be able to kind of then kind of receive a royalty for that. Really good way of kind of, you know, utilizing existing kind of designs and stock that you already have in your business, so to speak. E-marketplaces, we've talked about those. Great way to kind of get that wider reach, especially if you're not getting that many online sales for your own kind of website platform. This is the next best thing. Make sure that when you're kind of working with e-marketplaces, if you are doing the shipping yourself, to maximize in terms of the wider marketing opportunity that you have as part of that picking and packing processing, making sure you kind of put in the leaflets with the QR codes on to get people to sign up to your mailing list or to follow you on the relevant social media platforms. Really heavily market and brand that to ensure that potentially customers will come directly back to you next time rather than go to the e-marketplace to buy from them. As kind of said, pop-up shops, selling directly through your social media platforms. It's still relatively new. Instagram have turned theirs off, but you know, you can still kind of connect and link to your website to those. Working with influencers, how you can kind of collaborate with them, helping them to raise your profile, so to speak, through lots of different channels. Using sponsored ads is another great way of kind of utilizing, working with your website and optimizing any customers that come to your website to then kind of be able to track them with relevant ads at the relevant kind of level of the sales funnel that they might be in. And then finally, collaborations, whether or not you kind of pair up with someone else who does complementary products to do a collaboration, whether or not you come together with someone to kind of create and design and manufacture new products. All these are great ways of kind of routes to market, whether it's into selling or whether it's into kind of reaching new customer bases as part of it. Another thing to kind of think about, as we talked about digital, is thinking about making sure you've got a professional layout on your website. So as we kind of say, your website is your shop front to the world. What do you want it to say about your business or your products or your practice? Okay, thinking about the traditional layout, as we always like to say, making sure you have a clear top line navigation, you know, about, shop, bespoke service, gallery, contact us, basic kind of navigation at the top, maybe with some drop downs to take them into different areas. Thinking about having a hero image or sliders taking you to key areas on the website. Okay, making sure you've got clear messaging within the top section of your website, presenting who you are and what you do. Okay, having a cohesive shoppable product line or collection presented so customers can kind of see a wide variety of pricing range of what your products are to kind of make a decision as to whether or not they're going to stay on your website or whether they're going to leave. Who are you? Yep. So a nice little section within your front page of your website about you. Just a brief intro that allows people to then click through to your about page to kind of get the full story. Thinking about having awards, accolades, if you've been featured in magazines and so forth, logos is another nice complementary add-on to have on your front page. Helps to build trust, credibility, and status, so to speak, as part of that. Other things to kind of think about if you have it on your website is things like latest news, blog posts, and so forth is a really nice kind of way of kind of building out the front page. And then finally, your social media reel at the bottom to maybe kind of get more opportunities for people to be able to follow you on your relevant social media platform. Ultimately, the key thing about your front page layout, once you're feeling a bit more confident, the key thing is making sure that all the important stuff on your website is in the top, half of the website. People do not scroll to the bottom. Most people do not scroll to the bottom of your page. So do not bury anything like your shoppable product line at the bottom of your page. Make sure it's right at the top. So making sure you've got that, making sure you've got lots of nice written content, making sure you've got lots of call to action on your front page for people to be able to, visitors to be able to click through to the relevant areas of your website. Don't forget, as tip number 7, build your online foundations. Okay, so making sure you've got a solid foundation of lots of different platforms, but also making sure you're integrating and connecting everything online. Nothing is sitting in silo. So key tools to help you build a basic online presence, making sure you've got a good customer mailing list. Okay, using something like MailChimp, MailerLite, Zoho, Constant Contacts, Omnisem, they're all out there. Go and have a look at them. Preferably, as I kind of say, try and maybe use a third-party platform rather than using the one that's built into the website. Gives you more flexibility, freedom to be able to utilize for other purposes, so to speak. Make sure all your social media links to help visitors navigate across multiple platforms. So use things like Linktree as another kind of app which you can use to be able to kind of navigate from your social media. And again, presenting lots of options in your social media profiles to navigate people around your different platforms, different shopping places, and so forth. Social media profiles, how many should you have? Don't overstretch yourself. Maybe think about having 1 or 2 profiles to work on and really focus on those. Making sure you are posting consistently every couple of days, or making a plan to be able to how you're going to kind of post your content. Making sure you upload your information into business directories, good for citations, but also in a funny roundabout way, they kind of give backlinks to your website, which is good because it kind of enforces back to search engines that you are a credible business because you're being listed in lots of business directories. But it also opens up opportunities for people that are looking for your types of business in business directories to find you. So another avenue. And then finally, Google business profile or Bing profile. So again, if you've not got one set up, set one up. You don't have to publicize your address on your Google profile. You can actually hide this as part of the process, but it's a good thing if people are looking for you or type your name directly into search engines to see that come up on the right-hand side and to kind of get some detail on you, or to find you listed within Google Maps. Really good way to kind of, again, before people got to your website, to give lots of information, lots of links, lots of visuals, but also for customers, encourage customers to give customer reviews. The more customer reviews you get, if you have got an actual premises, then that will help for your profile to be ranked higher within the relevant kind of products or services with competitors within your field. So really kind of think about how you can maximize that. Building a solid customer base is really important as part of this, as we've kind of talked about. You've worked out your customer profile, but it's also take time in building a customer database. Okay, as I kind of say, with the mailing list, it is your biggest asset and will help you to communicate directly to your audience. Okay, so build a community to drive sales, and feedback is really important. So through using things like MailChimp or MailerLite and so forth, really important to kind of keep trying to grow in that customer database. The more information you get, the more refined and the more you start to understand about your customer, who they are, what they want, and also kind of tailoring your messages, whether it's on your social media, whether it's on your website, or whether it's for your newsletters. So use a credible platform such as MailChimp or MailerLite or so forth. Be consistent in sending out newsletters and ensure they're insightful. So don't just make them about just selling, but how you can kind of impart new information and educate your customers. Tell them about up and coming events you're doing, tell them about successful things that you're doing, maybe kind of promote local businesses or within your community, so to speak, as well, that customers can kind of engage with kind of going forward. Also analyze online data to build a business strategy. So, you know, as well as kind of thinking about your market research, this is another great tool to be kind of looking at. So connect your website to Google Analytics to track visitor behavior. So building on your customer data that you've got, you know, where to start with looking at overseas market, maybe looking at your Google Analytics data, find out where some of that traffic is coming from. And you can potentially drill right down to kind of find out, even, for example, if it's someone from the US, you can find out whether or not they're coming from New York State or whether they're coming from California. But really kind of, you know, use that wide data to really underpin your research to help you to kind of build your strategy. Understand what content and product visitors are viewing. So again, that's going to shape and inform the types of social media posts you put out, how you reconfigure your website. So you might kind of have some products that aren't featured on your front page, which are getting lots of hits, which actually through analyzing your Google data, you might start putting them on the front page for people to have access them a bit more easy. You can also kind of identify and understand how long people stayed on your website for, how do visitors enter and exit. So again, you know, you could be spending lots of time investing in social media, but actually you kind of find that most of the clicks from your website are coming from customers and people who have signed up to your mailing list. Really understand how the two kind of connect to really work out a much more efficient strategy of where you need to invest your time. I've just put down here as well a little live link to the Google Analytics tutorial, which talks you all through G4 Analytics and how to set that up on your website, okay, as part of that. So use the data to help to shape your business strategy and your sales strategy kind of going forward. And then finally, the last tip, as I always kind of like to say, to bring all of this together is to build an integrated business strategy. Okay, so everything we've kind of talked about here, it kind of feeds into each other, whether you're looking to kind of look at overseas markets or whether you're looking to try and build a domestic market or online market, all of them are interconnected because customers are looking for both an online and offline kind of experience. So make sure that you have live links connecting all your online platforms and your profiles. Everything is connected, everything is speaking to each other. Okay, increase your online traffic and visitor destination through this, but also kind of thinking about how you can maximize your marketing material, making sure that if you are doing any kind of printed marketing material, that you are using relevant kind of links and so forth. So other things to kind of think about is making sure that on your signature strip, you've got all your live links and taking them to relevant social media platforms. And on your marketing material, if you're using things like Linktree to kind of create your links, then to make sure that on all your marketing material, even on your business cards, making sure you've got your QR code. Wherever you can have a QR code, if you're doing an event and you've got a table displaying all your products, make sure somewhere on that table you have your little QR code to try and get people to sign up to your mailing list and so forth. Really think about that. But ultimately, the key thing is to make sure you create lots of opportunities to be able to kind of get people to engage with your mailing list and with your social media, which then helps you to kind of build your traffic online, which gives you more data to be able to then inform and create a much better optimized business strategy kind of going forward. So that's kind of it. Thank you very much for listening to me today. Here's some useful links for you across a couple of apps and things you can kind of go and have a look at to help you on your way, kind of going forward to support you with building and growing your business strategy. So thank you very much. Have a nice day.